Welcome to Emotional Labor.
Emotional labor.
Emotional Labor, baby.
This is Alex and Halen. Emotional labor.
And we're live.
And action.
We're not live. We're not making a movie right now.
Cut.
Oh no, we're stealing jokes from Victorious now.
I watched that the other day.
The actual
No,
show?
no, just that video again. Yeah. Or actually, specifically the clip of him citing
that
part where they're citing that gag.
Yeah.
Yes,
so funny.
It's so funny. We're not making a movie right now. Cut. Yeah. She's a bimbo icon.
She's a genius.
She's a genius.
She gets it. But we're not talking about her.
No, we're not
today.
No, we're not.
We should, though. We should do an Ariana episode.
We should. We could talk about a lot.
We should do a trilogy.
We
should do a trilogy Ariana, Miranda, and Jeanette series.
Miranda from...
Miranda Cosgrove.
Miranda Cosgrove. Okay. And Jeanette. Yes. I was like, Miranda. Woof. Well, Miranda's probably who I know the least about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
she's literally the Beyonce.
But also, she's done... Is she? Or are we
Yes.
just... Oh, okay. Because she's done also the most. Like, maybe... Like,
Yeah, that's what I said. She's the Beyonce.
Well, I guess I mean in like doing the reboot, for example, of iCarly, Jeanette didn't do it. And that, to me, is one of those moves where it's like, is that a move that makes Jeanette more of a Beyonce, or does that make Miranda a Beyonce? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the concept of how corny, the integrity of the reboot, but it was very popular. So maybe I'm wrong.
I do think that, like, when I say Miranda is the Beyonce, mostly what I mean is that she's far and away the breakout star, and somehow the one that is the most mysterious in spite of that.
True.
Like, she really, I believe that she probably, if Beyonce has a PR team, she has the same PR team. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's been, at least to my knowledge,
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
very skilled at avoiding controversy, which is pretty remarkable for a child star.
you know what?
Especially
That's
considering
true.
the fact that she's a Disney star on top. Or Disney? Yeah, Disney.
Yeah, Disney and Nick.
Disney.
I mean, right. Or did she do Disney, actually? She started on Drake and Josh, which is Nick.
Which is Nickelodeon. Okay, so she was
Unless
a
she
Nickelodeon
did
star.
something before that.
I don't think she was on
She was in School of Rock.
Wow, she was in School of Rock. She was in what?
No, I don't think. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse was over, I think, by the time Miranda. That was Britney Spears.
Miranda Cosgrove is like half Britney Spears' age.
Yeah.
Britney Spears could be her mother.
Yeah. Well, yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you're right. That I agree with. Of like, you're right. I never actually have seen, like, even Miley Cyrus had her like era. Her when she was like breaking out of Disney and did that photo shoot with her on the like she was like naked but looking back, that whole thing, and it was like Miranda never really did have that experience.
No,
she kind of seamlessly did it and did a reboot in a way that is like.
But Miranda keeps it cute.
Yeah, well. This is segue because it's not part of the trifecta, but I didn't realize how famous Selena Gomez was. You know, she's like the second.
What do you mean?
She's like the most followed person on Instagram. I had no idea.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I like.
That's so funny.
And has a similar.
Kim Kardashian is seething.
Yeah, she like just. That's what I was hearing
Every
about.
night Kim Kardashian
it actually isn't Kim.
goes onto
it's,
Instagram and checks.
It's actually not Kim. It's one of the other Kardashian sisters. That is.
Is the number one?
Yeah, it's Chloe or not Chloe. The makeup one.
Kylie.
I think it's Kylie. Kylie or the model. But it is a Kardashian, but it's not Kim.
Is Kendall the model?
Kendall's the model, but it's not Kim, actually. Yeah, that Selena Gomez, similar. I mean, she hasn't totally avoided controversy, but like she does still have a relatively like, I don't know, she didn't have anything.
Nicki Minaj said that she had to keep an eye out for her.
What?
No,
I don't know this. Wait, why?
No, it's a lyric.
Oh, please. I'm just silly.
Nicki Minaj has a song with Justin Bieber, and she rhymed Bieber with Selena.
Oh, yeah, Selena. God. Selena. I was like, what? See, I was never a Nicki Minaj fan. I probably know the least about of that era of music.
Ooh, okay, fuck, marry, kill. Mm-hmm. Wait, who were we just talking about before?
Miranda, Jeanette.
No.
Oh, Selena, Kim Kardashian.
Selena. Okay.
Selena. Uh-huh.
Fuck, marry, kill. Selena Gomez.
Please.
Stop. Who was the second person? Oh, fuck. Imelda Dazeem.
Imelda Dazeem. Mm-hmm.
And Ralph Fiennes.
What? I'm not familiar with the Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes' name is pronounced Rafe. It's spelled Ralph and it's pronounced Rafe.
Oh, Rafe.
Which is a stupid thing that you would never know unless you specifically had been told that by a pedantic person like me.
Yeah, so kill that.
Okay, dead that.
Dead that. That's annoying as hell. Ta-da. Okay, so
kill Ralph Fiennes.
Kill Ralph Fiennes.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. All of this is in Minecraft. Selena Gomez and
Imelda
Dazeem.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's John Travolta mispronouncing Idina Menzel.
Yeah.
Honestly, I might marry that one. It's so iconic.
It's so classic.
It's so classic.
And could you really commit for the rest of your life to Selena Gomez?
No.
Come on. Selena. That's goofy.
Let me fuck you.
That's a goofy fad.
Selena. I literally always... See, yeah, I always forget about Selena Gomez. God, that's so fucking funny. Damn. Well, so the Beyoncés. I'm trying to think of a segue into the topic.
Okay. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay.
The wolf. The deer.
Uh-huh.
Who's the tiger?
The tiger in Beastars. His mentor? No,
that's
that's
panda.
the panda. The tiger, that guy.
Bro, dude.
Bro.
The frat bro. The frat bro coded tiger.
The frat bro coded tiger.
That sounds like the wildest young adult novel that I would totally read.
Uh-huh. The frat bro coded tiger?
Yeah.
The frat bro coded tiger. God. I wonder what it would be about. Do you think it's like a real tiger? Or it's like
it's like a mythological tiger somehow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's frat bro coded.
That's so it's like a bunch of frat guys trying to find the like mythological tiger.
Wow, wait, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a D&D campaign.
I was saying that could be a great
D&D
campaign. The
to find
characters
the
of
frat
that.
code.
Frat code.
Fuck. First you have to say it, and then you have to find it.
Yeah, and they can never say it. The challenges will be like, it's like hazing, but wholesome.
Bro, you have to go into this room full of tigers and find the one that
is frat
can
coded.
shotgun natties the fastest.
Yes. And then when you find him, you have to impress him. It's like he switches into his deity of like to be a true frat brother. You must stand on your head and drink all this beer from a funnel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or it would
then
be
all your bros lift you up.
You raise me up. Yeah.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the tiger.
I would kill the tiger. Maybe.
Good luck.
I know. That's what I said.
Good fucking luck.
My ass would marry the wolf.
God, that's so stupid. The deer has money, Al. The deer has money.
I would fuck the deer.
No, you have it all wrong.
But I don't.
His dad owns everything. Everything.
I know.
You would own everything.
Everything
would be yours.
Touches. That doesn't appeal to me. I lack the fundamental desire for, I don't know. I don't have it.
Well, you're not cut out for marriage because
I'm
that's
not.
literally what
I'm not married. It's upsetting. This is the. Where's my wife? I don't get it.
It's a financial.
What do you mean you don't get married?
It's a legal contract.
I know. I don't get it.
It's a legal contract. You're allowed to be in love and not be married.
Ugh. It is a legal contract. It's so upsetting. Okay, so
I'm just saying, if gun to my head, the wolf.
Yeah.
Hot.
Yeah.
Emotionally. What's the word? Nonverbal.
Yeah.
Absolutely incapable of communication.
Not incapable. What's he? Maybe because we're, it's because we're receiving.
Remember that time that he stuck his hand in that girl's mouth and was like, "Thanks for helping me collect data on my project." Yeah,
we hear a lot of his
nuts.
internal monologue, so
You're sympathetic.
I'm sympathetic, but he's not communicating. Actually, yeah. So you would fuck, marry, kill? You marrying the deer?
Yeah. Because also he seems like the kind of husband who would leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he does have it in the manga, maybe not in the anime yet. He has like a arranged marriage for business purposes, which makes sense to me. I can wrap my head around that.
An arranged marriage for business purposes.
And it's like he has an arranged marriage to another deer. Okay, this is spoilers for Beastars.
Yeah.
So he's an arranged marriage to another deer.
Right.
But he has a realization over the course of the same arc that he's like, actually, I love, like, the people I feel most comfortable around, most, like, attracted to, most interested in spending time with are predators, specifically male predators. And it's, like, very much coded as a, like, queer awakening, do you know what I mean? Of, like, kind of, like, looking up one day and being like, oh, shit, I'm gay. Like, I'm obviously gay. I've been gay the whole time. I've been gay the whole time. Yeah, I feel like that is what we're here to talk about today, is basically all of the wonderful ways that Beastars, the wonderful ways you can be gay. Beastars, and also just like, I think animal # content in general is a place where people work out a lot of those psychosexual conundrums. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels significant that it's not just like, so the whole thing in Beastars is that it's a society of like humanoid animals, and there's this sort of divide between predators and herbivores or whatever. And so, like, the main characters go to a school that's like an integrated school of predators or carnivores and herbivores. And predators. And then wacky hijinks ensue. So a lot of it is about, like, not just the obvious kind of like racial implications of that setup. I said integrated school, but also like the it's not a one-to-one correlation of like carnivores represent this racial group and herbivores represent this racial group, because there's also so much like very complicated gender stuff wrapped up in it that does not neatly map onto those racial categories, in part because of what they're invoking through the use of these anthropomorphized characters.
The different,
like, it's significant that the character that has the queer awakening has it in the form of, like, so he's an herbivore experiencing, like, desire for spending time around carnivores, which is not just supposed to be, like, against his nature, but specifically, like, dangerous for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, that feels like it gives a very different consideration to what that means. What it means.
It's not just a one-to-one, like, this is about race, or this is about this or binary. Or it's not a binary. It's not a show that, it inherent. It's not even like, it's not talking about things from a binary perspective. It's not even trying to translate the binary. It is already, it's like, this is an integrated perspective.
It feels like it's about, like, as a text, it's about the idea of those binaries being socially enforced. Like, I know you haven't finished the second season, but the second season arc culminates basically in, like, the main antagonist being a physical embodiment of, like, all of the things that, socially speaking, like, we're led to understand is just, like, how carnivores are, and, like, their kind of secret monstrous nature, where, you know, they could just snap and kill somebody at any second. All the things that Legoshi is trying to, like, you know, the wolf is trying to be the opposite of. And so they have this really big symbolic fight, you know what I mean, where it's like their ideologies are also fighting. Right.
The ideologies.
But then when you get the backstory for the antagonist, it's very clear from the backstory that it's like, oh, you weren't born bad. Like this isn't a byproduct of you just like because of the type of animal you are.
No.
You were always going to be this way. It was a byproduct of for your entire life existing in a social position where people were constantly telling you that's what you were going to do and ostracizing and mistreating you because of it.
Right.
It's like in universe because he's this he's some kind of bear, and because of like the size that they grow to naturally, there's like government mandated pills he has to take basically to limit his size, and they have all kinds of side effects.
Yeah.
And so again, there's not a one-to-one correlation of like that is an analogy for this specific historical relationship or event, but it obviously is evocative of a lot of different historical events and relationships of how marginalized groups have been put into positions where
they're
it's like
told this is what you are, this is all life will be,
and these are the only available things given to you.
Access
and
points,
also here's like a constant daily maelstrom of like the most unimaginable stress on like mental, emotional, psychic, physical,
survival,
all of those levels.
Always being part of that.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for you.
No.
It's not good for you.
Stress is what kills people. Yeah. Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking about so many different aspects of the show, like, and also trying to connect it back to, what we're talking about today, like sexual expression through these it's lost. It's a very long word. I can't see it.
You'll get there.
But, anthropomorphized. I was missing the throw. I was thinking anamorphs.
Please.
I was like, anamorphized?
Okay, but anamorphs is also a great example of this. This idea that, like, literally it's something that the kids in the Animorph series explicitly contend with is the ways in which being able to turn into other kinds of animals expands their consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, almost in a way that it kind of reminds me of the way that people who are bilingual talk about the experience of, like, it's like you just have a
different...
You have a whole other framework that you can switch into. Do you know what I mean? That you have perspective of.
Yeah.
That is really hard to replicate as an observer of that phenomenon.
Because you're doing the work or the process of translating, and the ability to do that is
the same
skill.
as having
you have
the
to
perceptive.
See. Yes, it's a different kind of perception.
I can look at a bird. I'll never be a bird until I am
a bird. I can imagine it. I can translate it through my vessel in that, like, I can jump from a plane. I can go skydiving.
And drop like a rock.
Well, with a parachute.
What bird do you know has a parachute?
No, but that's what I'm saying. You're not to your point. You're not a bird. You can only experience it at these.
If Ryan Gosling picks you up.
Yeah. Then maybe you're a bird.
And then tells you.
If you're a bird, I'm a bird.
And then you're both birds.
That's different.
Yeah, that's different.
Right. The only intersection I've ever, like, I'm thinking of skydiving because I've been skydiving. So I'm like, that's the closest I've ever been to understanding some element of being a bird. But
what it is to be in the sky.
Yeah, literally what it is to be in the sky.
It is like the one slice of the, like, 5-dimensional object that is that.
Because the bird doesn't even see the things that I see. No. When the bird looks down, and we have a totally different perspective.
The bird has a completely different, like, primary sense for understanding
what's going on. Literally,
what's happening around them.
They're feeling the wind in such a different way. They're the parachute.
They have little hollow bones.
They have hollow bones.
And they're so small.
So your body is hollow bones.
Crazy.
This is so poetry to me. Like, the translation of experiences. Like, that's what I feel like it is. It's like you're trying to... Translation work in general is so cool because it's like you're trying to do that and show... I don't know. It's like the process of translating always, like language. But... Yeah, but no, as you were talking about Beastars, and I'm thinking about the idea of, like, things being inherent to you as, like, you're dangerous or you're bad, or these, like, things that come from these social perspectives of, like, because you're in this vessel, you have some sort of inherent biological mechanism that will inevitably make you this way. Yeah. And for some reason that, it does go both ways in terms of, like, oppression and... false delusions of, like, supremacy. Yeah. But, how how that ties to so many institutions. Like, I think about that from growing up in the church. That was such a perspective of gender, of men are inherently hypersexual monsters.
Yeah.
And it is a woman's responsibility to not entice, you know, a man. And like,
They literally can't help it.
They can't help it.
They literally can't help it.
I went to Christian camp every summer growing up, and at this place, River Valley Ranch, you know, you have the coded colors pink and blue for boys and girls.
Oh my God, you went to the camp but I'm a cheerleader.
I did. And then there was the rule, I think I said this when we were watching it, no making purple, which is boys and girls can't be in each other's cabins.
That's so
You can't mix
raunchy.
gender colors. No making purple. And it's so also validating of like purple, gay,
Yeah.
it's trans, it's faggot, you know, whatever. But like, yes, shit like that. I like really take for granted how explicit in church I received the message from adults that like, that biological innateness of being a man and being a woman, and how that is so determined, and how that was so like part of how you get through the reality of all social situations. And then it's reinforced in these non-religious places, like in science.
I was gonna say I didn't grow up in the church really significantly, but I feel like I feel like my orientation towards marriage is informed by the idea that like not intrinsically biologically. I think as I have grown older, I've come to understand it more as a like sociological phenomenon.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But certainly when I was younger, I'm sure I had a much more categorical like. No, men are just like this.
And then you go through puberty, and it's like every adult just like is like, see, uncontrolled. You know, it's like you're using my most hormonally vulnerable time in my life to
the time where I'm supposed to be making stupid decisions.
Yeah, to tell me that this is actually just like about how people. Something about that feels so like. And then we don't talk about how hormones fluctuate ever at all in the rest of your life, unless we're talking about menstruation or menopause, really. But we don't talk about it.
Well, then this bizarre thing where it's the counterpoint to like boys are intrinsically hypersexual, which is that women are intrinsically not.
Right.
Semicolon, therefore a woman who is being sexual must be doing so for other reasons. Like that there's an understanding of like, well, men have a biological drive towards sex because procreation and evolution.
Well,
but for some reason, women don't. Like
it's only supposed to be towards the pure desire to raise children.
Well, right.
It's like a means to an end.
Yeah.
Not a pleasure.
Or it's like a thing that women do to manipulate men. Or
right, if you enjoy it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like all of the quote unquote reasons that a woman would have for being sexual are like not really about the sex part. It's like, you know, it's about being manipulative or being traumatized or like whatever other mythology.
Right, all lesbians are just traumatized. Yeah, and how that relates to, being like, so how desires then become projected onto or anthropomorphized into, because I'm thinking of the term animalistic desire. You know what I mean? It's like there's already this association with like, well, I can't hold this within myself, and then it becomes eroticized in like figures of animals because it's like it's the only place where it can really come out or something. And then how I don't know, but how that can be so freeing also.
Well, I mean, okay, so to circle back to Beastars, it's can't really talk about that show without talking about the fact that like the central romance of the series is between a wolf and a bunny rabbit.
Right.
And a lot of hoopla is made.
That's a lot of
hoopla.
That's a lot of
hoopla.
Yeah. A lot of hoopla
is made over the fact that, first of all, there's a massive size differential between them.
Right.
Because in this world, it's not like directly proportional to the real world, but like it sort of follows a general rule of thumb of like, you know, little mammals are like
in
short
world
person
physics.
size. Yeah, exactly. And Legoshi as a gray wolf is like exceptionally tall for his age cohort. So a lot of hoopla is made about that. A lot of hoopla is made about the fact that like in the first encounter that they have with each other, which she does not know who he is or doesn't recognize him from this at first, it is extremely ambiguous to the audience and to Legoshi, the protagonist, whether the thing that he is experiencing is like sexual romantic desire or like predatory bloodlust. And like that's a central theme throughout the series is the ambiguity of like, do I want to eat you or am I in love with you? And also, are those different things? Like, are those actually really different things? Which I think is a really radical and super gay concept. Like, I really feel like there is something about it's honestly getting very Poppy Z Bright. The person who wrote...
Wait, I can't wait to compare what books we're thinking of right now. It's so funny.
The book I'm thinking of is called Exquisite Corpse, and it's about serial killers who are in love with each other, serial killer cannibals. And that's the book that I told you about that ends with the one cannibal eating a sandwich made out of his lover and being like, now we'll be together forever.
I'm thinking of Rant by Chuck Palahniuk.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Because there's a specific quote in there where
there's two kinds of homosexuals.
There's two. Fuck. Yeah. There's literally a quote in there. I loved it. It was between the main character and his love interest and talking about, like, I hate this person. And then someone was like, don't you love her? And they're like, isn't that the same thing? And that's a book about, it's like a intense Donnie Darko vibe, like a time traveling guy who comes back to save the world in this society that's separated into day people and night people. And it's a very violent society. Well, it's so wild. He like kills his grandfather vibes. You know what I mean? Rick and Morty owes everything to Rant. You know what I mean?
Vibes?
Like the time travel.
Vibes?
I gotta reread this book. It's been so long, but it was my favorite book for a long time. But yeah. And it's like a culture of violence. They like car crashes or it's like very like Mad Max time travel. I don't know if I could get through it. It was
written by a teenage boy, all Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's when I read it. But Exquisite Corpse also sounds intense. I wonder if I could get through it.
In retrospect, I'm like, so the way that I found that book was I met someone who went to my high school in like the manga section of a Barnes & Noble. She was like a couple years older than me. And we were like recommending books to each other, and she recommended that one to me. And years later, when we were very, very, very close friends, she was like, it's kind of crazy that I recommended this book to you and you ever talk to me again. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but I guess we're
you're teens.
Same kind of crazy.
Same kind of crazy. It's interesting.
Yeah, you're teens.
But also shadow work vibes. Like, it's like, yeah. I think it's
an interesting book.
It's an interesting book. I also feel like it's funny because that concept does repulse you in terms of like love.
Ew. Yeah, blah.
Yeah, you don't like those romantic relationships. Yet you can read books like that in American Psycho, whereas like I am like that,
because
but
there's something
cannibalism
about
disturbs me.
The corporeality of it makes it more. I'm like, at least be literal. Say what you mean. Do you know what I mean? It's like. You know what I mean? It's like you want to consume me. Just say that.
Just
like,
say that.
You know? Does it? Are my intimacy issues showing? Like, why to just be honest and say you want to destroy me? And that's like part of the
slow
part of the gag
consumption.
Part of the gag.
God, I know.
I'm learning and growing and changing.
I'm learning and growing and changing every day. Yeah, cannibalism is interesting because I tried to watch Bones and All and. In the first 5 minutes.
I'm not even gonna try to watch that. That's not for me.
I have such an interest for things like blood and cannibalism and vampires. Like I love those stories, the aesthetic. I love horror. I love scary movies. I love fear.
Sick curiosity.
I have a sick curiosity, but I have a very visceral reaction to certain blood and guts things visually. I just can't get through it. But yeah, first 5 minutes, I had a full-blown existential crisis panic attack on the floor. I was overwhelmed by what I can only describe as both desire and disgust happening simultaneously.
Your body short-circuited. You didn't know what to do.
Short-circuited. Yeah. So, yeah. That is to say, like, desire and sex and, like, again, how these things become, like, I don't know, like...
But I think that's why I can read these things,
is
that I never wore anybody's blood around my neck, okay? Right. So it's a very different It's different.
different.
It's different. We have different relationships to the concept.
Yeah, we do.
You know what's funny is I realized recently, talking to my players from one of my first like consistent D&D games, that kind of dissolved before we could get to the end of the campaign. And so we kind of just randomly one day we're all in the chat and they were like, can we just ask you questions about where stuff would have gone had we continued? And I was like, yeah. So we're like doing a little behind the scenes Q&A. And as part of that, I was like describing things and comparing things to other games I've run and also other games that I'm working on putting together right now. And just realizing how much of a theme that is actually in the kind of stories that I enjoy telling. This idea of like consumption and like, I don't know. I think it's a really interesting thematic metaphor to play with. Hence, Beastars being such a compelling text. I think it has one of the most complicated kind of relationships to the idea of consumption of any pieces of media I've seen.
Yeah, as you were talking about, like, the relationship between the rabbit and the wolf is like, there's a consumption aspect to it. But it's also like you're saying, Legoshi's been having this whole experience the whole life. Like, you want this thing, and it makes you bad, and you're bad, and you're just going to hurt someone one day when it's like not necessarily true, but also there is this moment when they are attempting, spoilers, when they were trying to be intimate, that then it was like she was just trying to jump into his mouth.
Yeah, she was like, wait, what am I doing?
What am I doing? You know, like that there can
what
be.
What is my biological instinct?
What is it? And how, and I think that plays into, or not plays into, but like we were talking about earlier, it's not just about gender and race, and it shows this intersection because that's part of it, the power differential in that experience of like, what does it mean to fawn, and why does that exist in intimate relationships, and how does that at play in terms of like race and gender and the social contract of like, if we live in a white like we were talking about earlier, you don't get married for love, you get married for
because you like somebody,
right? You get married because like because we live in a society where I'll fawn and jump into your mouth, like, so that is. But as someone who did say I would marry the wolf because I sympathize with his plight of like, that blows. It fucking blows, yo. You know? But it's about how do you can't just like sit around and be nihilistic about how that blows. Like, you have to
that
do
is
something.
A scene that happens, I think, in this second season where the rabbit does kind of give the wolf a bit of a dressing down and be like, okay, you can't just be emo about this. You have to like do something. Like,
right.
What's the solution here?
And like to see the deer's response to that question of like, how do I exist in this contradiction of like who I've been told I am, the trauma that happened to me, the like righteousness trauma, of literally. My plight, and then the company I keep. It's like, what do you do with that? I don't know what happens in the second season totally, but
well, that's the thing is that the second season,
but he starts eating meat, right?
Well, he starts faking eating meat.
Right.
He tries
but
to
then
eat
the lion
meat,
is like, I know you're not, and I love you.
I know you literally are throwing up this meat because you can't eat it because you're a deer. Like
you're saying this relationship is gay.
Yeah, they're gay.
It's gay.
They're gay.
It's gay.
Literally, the outro song for the second season is like a love ballad between the deer and his like top in command lion boyfriend. It's gay.
Gay.
It's not even pretending to not be gay. Which I appreciate in a show, you know? They're not queer baiting.
No, it's queer.
They're queering.
They're queering.
Animals.
They've caught the gayest fish.
Yeah.
It's purple.
Yeah, they're making purple.
They're making purple in there.
Because there is a lot of, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that, so Haru, the like rabbit female love interest, is like a small white rabbit. And her whole deal is that she is older than the wolf, actually, a little bit, and very mature and like capable and smart and like, you know, canny and skilled at things. But in part because of her like size and vulnerability, and then in part because of her reputation as a promiscuous woman, occupies this like really degraded social position where it's like even other herbivores feel entitled to be kind of like domineering over her, let
Yeah.
alone the way that kind of other like students who are carnivores interact with her.
Yeah.
And there's a part, I can't remember, I think it's in the second season, where she, it might not even
Maybe it's in the
be
manga.
in the show yet, it might be in the manga, where she says to the wolf, like, you will never know what it feels like to be me, because like I could be eaten by a carnivore at any moment. Like I live in a state of vulnerability that's like
Beyond my control.
beyond my control.
I will fawn
and
at
the
some
way
point.
that informs everything about how my life is set up is something that is beyond your capacity to understand, because literally you're like 7 feet tall and people are scared of you. Like you have actually the opposite problem of the dangers that come with having a body that is perceived to be threatening. And that's an interesting dynamic, especially because the author has been pretty explicit about like her intention in creating the rabbit character Haru was to make someone who was like really the opposite of the like stereotypical, prototypical like ideal Japanese woman, right?
Yes.
So like she is not submissive or demure. She's not like she
kind of has a reputation for being sexual.
She very has a reputation for being sexual, and is really like defined about it in a way that is also cognizant of her vulnerability. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like she's just like whatever, I don't care because I'm such a cool girl. It's like, okay, well, if that's how it is, then I guess that's how it has to be. And
right, like she keeps to herself and tends her garden and like does her thing.
She's living
like,
her best life.
Literally, she's like, I'll stay.
She's the only member of the garden club because no one wants to hang out with her. And guess what that means? She's a whole garden to herself.
Right.
What's not to like?
As a rabbit, sounds great. Perfect for you.
So many little flowers. Probably little things to nibble.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you have the Beastars model, which I think is very nuanced and like evocative of a lot of. It's like because there are so many different intersecting stories going on, it also really emphasizes the indirectness of this parallel. Like it really kind of forces you to contend with the dynamics as interpersonal dynamics and not necessarily in a specific context, which then makes it easier to like, so for example, the rabbit character, I was like, in my first watch of the show was like, it's funny how this white rabbit character to me feels very racialized as black because the thing that I'm experiencing is she's occupying this really degraded social position.
Yes.
And because of the ambiguity of all of the other things happening, I don't mean to say that I believe the intention is for her to be read that way, but that it's like the intention is for her to be read as this, it's like tarot.
Yes.
Like,
what do you project
the author
onto
is saying
there?
degraded social position.
Yes.
And my projection, because of the context that I exist in, is, she's coded as a hypersexual black woman.
Yes. Which to me, I'm the context I'm in, and as a white person, that's also how I read her.
And Legoshi's a light-skinned black man. It's very...
So that is something that I did not perceive until we talked about that.
Yeah.
But that is because I can project myself onto Legoshi. So, but I also can project myself onto the girl wolf. But I also think she is coded as a white girl.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's so girl boss.
She's Lana Del Rey.
She's so girl boss lean in. She's so girl boss lean in.
Yeah. But I think...
she literally tries to gaslight girl boss gatekeep the rabbit in a very sappically charged...
So sapphic.
Moment.
Oh, so sapphic.
Charged.
I have been there.
Been there.
Been there. And to whatever extent I understand Haru is because I have experienced myself in some intersection of a degraded social position, but with such a overwhelming whiteness to it. Similarly with the girl wolf of like, you're still girl, but like that binary does still seem...
You're a wolf.
But you're a wolf.
Ma'am, you're a wolf.
So people don't fuck with you, really.
You have big teeth.
Yeah.
You're really tall.
Yes, and to whatever extent you are limited, it is that she does feel from what I remember. Haven't finished the second season, and I know some shit happens with her and the deer. But she doesn't feel satisfied because she doesn't see outside of her own kind of wolfness in this way.
No.
She has such entitlement. That's why she really reminds me of Lana Del Rey, because like
the whiny entitled.
And then when it is sad, because it's like, damn, bitch, like
you got
sucks.
your feelings hurt, but you hurt your feelings. You hurt your own feelings.
And there was like a period of time where it's like everyone's been there. Like, I'm not gonna say fuck you, Lana, for ever making that music, but listening to her newest stuff now is so like, girl, get a new song.
Yeah.
But similarly with the wolf, it's like, you're a wolf.
Get a new song.
I don't know what happens with her and the deer. Like, I don't know, like, if that expands her.
I honestly don't really. I don't get or love how that subplot develops personally.
Yeah. Especially
because it seems so like shallow, specifically in comparison to how Legoshi's story develops with the deer. Like spoilers for like the ultimate act of the season. But it's like, you know how in his backstory, the deer's like was originally supposed to be sold in the black market as like meat, and then his super rich businessman dad purchased him and was like, I'm going to adopt you as my son because of a complex that I have about being a deer in this world, and then I will pass on to you this complex, my dear son, which you all probably would have already developed given the circumstances of your developmental upbringing.
Yeah.
And the way that the storyline culminates with like this battle between the wolf and the bear of like, you know, this idea of like, are carnivores inherently predators, or is it possible for like carnivores and herbivores to live in harmony? Right. That the way that the wolf gets like the strength to overcome the bear is by consensually eating the deer's foot. And it's specifically the foot that has like the number 4 branded into
his trauma foot.
His trauma foot from when he was branded as livestock. So it's like,
I'm healing your trauma. So that's like BDSM vibes.
Very BDSM vibes. Very
Sublimating.
Kinky. Very kinky.
Very
it's
kinky.
like I'm like doing the shadow work of releasing this thing through the consensual act of consumption. There's literally a moment where the wolf like basically like is like, thank you for this act of submission in a way that feels very kinky, very BDSM.
Yeah.
But also feels very like, I don't know. Again, it's not a perfect metaphor for any one particular experience, but there is something really compelling about this idea of a relationship that is based on like a mutual capacity to meet needs, even in this circumstance where those needs seem perhaps on their face to be incompatible, right? That it's like that actually the really great thing that happens in this moment is this like culmination of their relationship that enables the protagonist to beat the
bear.
Bad guy.
Right, and that is...
It's literally the moment that in heterosexual storytelling would be like the love interest being like, you can do it, babe. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally that moment, but it's like, eat my foot. Like...
Yeah, and it's so like... I love that it's also it's foot stuff. We love foot stuff. But it's also, the commitment to the greater thing. Like, that's the part that is like, wow, like... to beating the bear, because there's definitely, and it shows the integrity of the intimacy in the relationship. It's this ideal, because like if you can do that consensually, right? Like, but there are relationships where it's like the deer doesn't trust you, isn't ready, is scared, and the wolf will be like, well, I'm gonna do it anyway because I have to, because I feel like the thing that we have to do is greater than your fear. But by doing that, you undermine the thing you're doing.
Right.
Or it could be some other experience of just like the person doesn't want to do it because it's like, actually it wasn't, or what if the deer was like, no, you know?
Well, it's one of the really silly things about the manga Beastars, which like if anyone was planning on reading the manga because they wanted to get the complete story since the show's not finished yet, sorry, the complete story is extremely unsatisfying. It definitely like It's a very Stephen King situation where it's like strong premise, strong beginning, pretty strong middle, totally peters out at the end. You had no idea where this was going when you started, which is fine. Like, the author, Beastars started as a project that she was doing that was like anthology stories of these anthropomorphic characters having these little dramas. And so it was a lot more like, I mean, she didn't have to write endings so much because it was a lot more of these like little slice of life episodes or like self-contained dramas that didn't need elaboration. And so, yeah, it just seemed like the plot really got away from her at some point, and then she was like, I want to be done with this, so it ends. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because it was really interesting where all the places where it seemed to be going. Fine. The thing that I did enjoy up until that point was how committed she seemed until the ending that was very abrupt and silly. To not giving a like clear or easy answer to this question of like, is it possible or good or desirable for carnivores to exist not eating meat? Like, is that a thing that is possible for to happen? And if it is possible, is it a thing that's like desirable? I think that's a really interesting like
question.
Yeah, thing to play with. Because ultimately, all of the carnivores at the school, right, eat like they eat vegetarian but not vegan, and they have like meat substitute. I think is the
they eat eggs.
They eat eggs. They do have animal cheese, animal products. But then there's also a black market.
There's a black market of meat.
Spooky.
It's a very scary moment. I've been thinking about the egg episode, actually, as we're talking.
Oh
the
my
egg
God,
sandwich episode.
the egg episode.
That's
Iconic.
so sapphic. And
she takes pride in her eggs.
She takes pride in her eggs. Just the longing and like to me the episode is like a meditation on subtlety and also just the ecosystem of desire and longing and all these things, because she's a chicken, so chicken and a wolf
typically
that's not what but
and it's literally about him consuming her eggs.
About him consuming her eggs, and particularly,
and she's like, I want him to enjoy it.
I want him to enjoy it. So while it is that I particularly want him to enjoy it, it's because he comments on it. It's because he has a palate for it, because of his wolfness, perhaps, that he like is able to know. Because when he has the other sandwich, he says,
it's not as good.
It's not as good. And she thinks it's about her egg, and she's in turmoil because she's like, he can smell my fucked up egg.
My egg was imperfect.
But then she realizes it's because it wasn't her egg.
Spoilers,
and then she
wasn't her egg all the time.
Wasn't her egg, and then she gets this smug, sweet satisfaction of knowing that she has the most perfect egg, which in retrospect really has nothing to do with Legoshi. In that regard,
no.
It's about.
But here's the thing:
the whole thing.
Would she have found it as motivating and compelling if the person who was like, "Wow, this egg sandwich is delicious," was
another chicken?
Well, first of all, ew. Actually, I guess chickens do eat chicken eggs, so that's not that weird. But was another herbivore? Was my point?
That was homophobic when you said ew.
Ew. It's Bach and Cluck, okay? Not Bach and Bach.
But wait, you said another herbivore?
Yeah, if it was a non-carnivore, do you know? If it wasn't, and specifically a wolf, like how? Do you know what I mean?
No,
Legoshi's like what, 6'5"?
Yes.
Like I feel like that's relevant.
It's like
to the proceedings.
It's like in Twilight, the comment of Bella's blood being particularly like satisfying to smell for Edward. It's like that is the shit that's like, oh, you love my blood. And it's like scary.
Weird.
I know, but it's like cool.
No, it's not.
Because you can kill me.
Don't
you love
take
me.
my blood. I need it. I'm using it.
I need
all of it.
She's literally like, kill me. Let's be together forever. No, but you're right. I agree that it wouldn't be the same if it was another herbivore But again, I do. It's hard to. I agree, and because of that social thing, plus the enhancement of and what he really does comment on the taste. Like it's not just any old carnivore.
Wolf with a refined palate.
It's a wolf with a refined palate. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's all a metaphor for the ways in which appealing to patriarchy is a full-time job.
Yes.
She's like, I have to work out. I can't hang out with my friends. I'm like solely dedicated to making eggs, which in this case is, again, it's an imperfect metaphor like all of these are. But at least to me, one thing that I feel like is possible to project onto it is that relationship of like, you're doing this all to appeal to people who want to consume you. It makes you feel really proud for people to want to consume you. Mm-hmm. What's that about, sis?
What's that about?
Like, what's that about? Explore that.
What's that about?
Hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Babe, it's not about the eggs. It's not all about the eggs.
Hey, hang out with your friends. That's also why it feels very sapphic. It can be very sapphic to me because it's what you said of like this tension of like my whole life I have to appeal to patriarchy / living in this place where I am consumed. Like, you're a chicken, so you are not a predator. Even though you are a predator, actually.
I mean,
chickens
are pretty scary,
Yeah, they are pretty scary, but you're not a predator. And, but that is interesting to think about. And you make a thing that people eat. Like, you make eggs. But the sapphic piece, like, of, like, the longing of like we can't act on this because we live under patriarchy and our whole survival is so dependent on appealing to this thing that an outstep of it would be horrendous. So we have to figure out a different kind of dance to communicate that desire to each other, and sometimes it just goes unreceived because the shame is so silenced. You know, it's like it's why lesbian movies are so boring, but like,
oh no,
you know, like I can't watch them because it's like there are all these period pieces, scene after scene of just like
yearning,
nothing, yearning this project, and I am an Aries. When are we gonna fuck? I'm over it. But that's because I grew up in girl boss world where I just think that you can do what you want, and
which wave of feminism is that? The sexy one?
Second wave. My mom was probably a second wave feminist, and then I guess, I grew up in the culmination of second wave into third and into whatever we're in now. But I also grew up in the church, which is like no feminism. So right. I don't know. Anti-feminism. But yeah. Anyway. They're boring. The only lesbian period movie I like is Carol. With Gwyneth, or oh my God, Kate Blanchett.
Please imagine Gwyneth Paltrow. Well, I think it is interesting of all of the really interesting and complicated things that Beastars does depict that there's really not any significant queer female characters. Like there's so much gay stuff going on.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of relationships between men that are gay.
Yeah.
Part of that is also just genre, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be argued.
Does it not pass the Bechdel test, Haru and...
They talk, but it's about
Legoshi. It's in their competition. Yep. Well, they're not in competition.
The wolf
Haru's
thinks that they are.
The wolf
yeah,
thinks.
Exactly. She's like, stay out of my way. Mm-hmm. She's like, you're so cute.
The wolf could
hate you.
Be a lesbian.
Yeah. I mean, it
does
the
single white female thing, but...
Do I want to be you? Do I want to wear you as a suit? Like
wear you as a rabbit for around my neck. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is such an interesting dynamic, this idea of like, it's like he wants to eat her, literally. He's a wolf, but also he's a very shy virgin, and she's like...
It's actually very...
forward, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just very direct, because she's... basically an adult, I think. I think she's like 17 or 18 in the universe of the show. Yeah,
she's delusional. She's not creepy per se, but
delusional.
She's delusional, but Legoshi's also like so painfully like, bro, you have to communicate, but because it is like, but she also is like a steamroller. It's too, yeah. She doesn't understand subtlety.
No.
That's her. Needs to be her lesson.
No.
Like,
but it's understandable because it's like, I mean, part of that whole setup of her character is, again, this constantly reinforcing the idea of like, I'm really small and vulnerable, and that informs everything about how I perceive the world. Like, of course I'm going to be hypersensitive and like mercurial. You know what I mean? Move around a lot because the nature of my life necessitates me to do so, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of like animal lesbian repretation.
Right. What's up with that?
I'm a bad lesbian, so
hang on. No. Let's get into this.
Cause what?
I'm thinking of all the
cat girls, dog girls,
all the iconic. Let's stay in the world of like animation. What are all the iconic like sexual root furries? Okay,
furries.
Wow.
I mean, they're gay representation.
I was not expecting that. That's really revealing. Do you want to edit that out? No. You don't have to tell people that.
They're gay.
Sure, but I said psychosexual root. Is that your root, Al?
Oh, I didn't know it was mine. I thought you meant culturally.
I meant in general. Yeah, do you think that's a lot of people's root?
Yes. SpongeBob and Patrick? For sure.
Erotically?
He's got holes, Halen.
Wow. I know that porn of it exists. I just...
Squidward's got
You're really
tentacles.
Gonna put that up against, like, Robin Hood?
No.
You know what I mean?
Oh, Robin Hood me. That sexy-ass fox? Me.
Or even... controversial.
Teenage Simba.
I was about to say.
Is my furry root. Yeah, Teenage Simba.
And also, what was in the sequel, what was his name? Kovu? The
me
goth
too.
one? Yeah.
A little bit bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would go that far animal before I went under the sea.
I wasn't going animal. I just went gay in animation. I wasn't an animal.
I'm just saying in the like 4-way, whatever it's called, in the little like
this quadrant,
the graph, the quadrant.
What political?
How close do I am to
Zizek?
Yeah,
right now. Yeah, no.
Are there? Oh, I guess Maid Marian in that same thing is a root for some people.
Oh yeah,
she's cute.
True.
Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
The Wes Anderson one.
It's like a romance.
Isn't George Clooney? He's like, ooh, I'm sexy and suave.
They have a cute, weird marriage in that toxic way. It's a little heterosexual, toxic, but cute.
As a treat.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of as a bait. I'm young and I'm like, I love sex. What was the animal that it really teenage Simba really was like? Oh, you know
What was it? Was it the Matthew Broderick voice? Was it the floppy hair? What was it?
It's specifically in the transition on the log. It's
not
like So it wasn't. It's not his voice or anything. It's just like a certain look that isn't actually
a very
young
swaggy
adult.
walk.
He's swaggy. He's swaggy. It's a really like cute, handsome face. I don't know. They're really handsome.
Tossing his head.
Yeah, it's the hair too.
Yeah.
Obviously,
inspo.
Inspo. I'm trying to look like Simba.
Yeah, they're gesturing at themselves. You can't see because we don't record this, but they're gesturing at their hair.
Yeah, but I've got the hair color.
Yeah, to toss it around.
Just toss it around. But I actually do a lot more Fox vibes. But and Robin Hood. But what about there's anyone in Shrek?
Oh, I know what it is.
Huh?
Sword in the Stone when he's a squirrel.
That sexy squirrel.
The sexy squirrel.
The sexy squirrel.
Oh, sexy
squirrel.
Oh, fucking, the bunny, hot bunny.
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny. Lola Bunny.
None of these are gay.
Oh, right. We're trying to figure out lesbians. Okay, for
me...
I'm
just trying to brainstorm all of them. I'm just saying so far.
I know.
So far?
This isn't
Slim
a furry,
pickings.
but Jessica Rabbit came to mind when I was thinking.
Yeah, she's literally not a rabbit. That's her married name.
But, like, gay for me. Like, where are the gay animals? Sandy is a butch lesbian.
Yeah, Sandy's absolutely a lesbian.
Yeah. SpongeBob. There we go.
She's so competent.
Yeah. For sure. And hangs out with a bunch of breasts. She misses Texas because that's where her girlfriend is. She's in a long-distance relationship with her girlfriend of 10 years.
Exactly.
They grew up in the same tree. I really am.
Listener, I challenge you to submit
Yeah, we could
lesbian
be just
furries that
blanking.
we're forgetting, but I feel like there are a lot of gay ones.
Yeah, maybe it was. I just don't have the archival history. Maybe it's somewhere.
I will say part of this is just the fact that there's not a lot of stories about relationships between women.
Well,
Hence
yeah,
the Bechdel test. Yeah. It's a lot easier to read queer subtext into characters that are interacting in any way, shape, or form. So
Very
a lot of
animal
men.
villains. I feel like they would show up there.
There's probably someone who wanted to fuck Radigan.
Who?
Radigan from, I want to say, The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
He's a rat.
He's a rat.
Rat.
Did you ever watch, what was it, Redwall?
No, but I do think that probably is a lot. Yeah, Redwall.
What's in Redwall?
Little critters.
It's like medieval forest creatures.
Little mouse knights and stuff. Yeah.
I
It's
love
cute.
nutmeg. It's really
Cute.
Cute.
It's like their currency
It's so cute.
and their food. It's everything. It's all about nutmeg.
Okay. Not to like take a total hard left, but
Bert?
this also makes me think of just this idea of like anthropomorphization, right? Like, what's the point of putting these stories into animals?
Yeah.
Do you remember how old you were when you understood that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was about God and Jesus?
I knew it going in. Because
you
of
were told.
the context of which I got
told.
it. I was told. And
I
I
was
listened
not
to it on
told.
audiobook first, and I loved it. Oh, my God.
I mean, I loved it too. I didn't know what it was about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I didn't even care that it was about God. I was like, whatever, this is a cool-ass story.
It was a very cool book.
They're great books. Yeah.
But the choice to make Jesus a lion.
A lion. Strength. It's very actually informed by a lot of symbols of esoteric,
Oh, yeah.
which is also like...
It's very Kabbalistic.
It's very Kabbalistic, exactly. His books are very Kabbalistic. And I actually did read something, I feel like it was called The Screw Tape Letters or something.
Ooh, that sounds like a Lemony Snicket production.
Yeah, it's like a philosophical thing. I mean, he is ultimately a Christian, but I don't know. He does have like a relationship to God that is not just, it's a little deeper, but it is sort of like
I
socially.
think, wasn't it like his
still a Christian.
mom or something? No. No, I'm mixing that up with VeggieTales. That's a totally different
Please.
thing.
Oh my God.
The mom of the creators of
Sexy
VeggieTales
vegetables.
was a like theology scholar, and they like consulted her on the
On the movie?
on the show on VeggieTales.
Oh, on VeggieTales. VeggieTales.
The vegetables aren't animals.
But wait, when did you learn that it was about God?
Much later. I
yeah?
don't think until I was in like middle school or high school.
Like after the
I was
movies,
like,
you think?
huh? Yeah, it was. I had no reason to think that. I just saw it in the fantasy section.
We should rewatch the first one that they released. I think it was the first one. There's such a. I went to the movies to see
The
it.
visual was so iconic, but I can't remember if it was actually good.
That's why I want to rewatch it and on the projector because I literally never felt this way about movies. You know how I am about. Now I like movies, but like I wasn't. I don't know. I was like, I need to go back to the movies just to watch this one scene because it was so
which
amazing.
scene?
When the battle starts, I can't remember if it was the first or the second one, but it's like the clashing of both sides in the battle. Something about the sound, the visual, the scene. It was overwhelming.
I felt about 300.
See, I thought that movie was so bad. That's so
fun.
funny. Yeah, but I just remember having to go back just to see that scene and just feeling like goosebumps watching it. But it'd be so interesting to rewatch it. But Tilda Swinton went off. Centaur, not sexy
Oh, really?
to me.
At all?
I don't remember him feeling sexy. Lion
First
was
of all,
sexy.
he's a fawn, not a centaur.
Oh,
You're
you're
talking about
right.
Mr. Tumnus?
I am. You're right.
He's
Centaurs
played
are
by
hot.
James McAvoy.
That is not James McAvoy. What, babe?
That's James McAvoy.
Does that man have an Oscar?
No, I don't think so.
Is one of the greatest actors of all time. Say what you will.
Tell me you saw Split without telling me you saw Split.
I don't care that it's problematic. I don't care that it's M. Night Shyamalan. It's an
is
incredible
it?
movie. M.
Who
Night
is it? Say his name.
Shyamalan.
Nope.
I don't know. Shyamalan? 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 I don't know. I'm sorry.
If he ever hears this podcast, he's going to be
He won't.
so pissed. You'll never get cast in one of his movies.
Well, fuck me. I won't be in one of the worst movies of the year.
Wow.
Well, I'm hearing mixed reviews about the fucking Cabin movie.
Apparently, the book sounds so much cooler.
Yeah, the book
movies
sounds cool.
so stupid and dumb.
Yeah, the movie
It
fucked up the
sounds so-
ending, it sounds like, in a way that was
Yeah.
you should have been brave.
He should have been brave.
Stuck with the original text.
I feel that. I'm freaking. This is like I'm gonna start this campaign. I cut to like
Stick
6 months
with the
later,
original text
and I'm
criticism.
breaking into the
vaults of all the film. I need to see it.
Of who put that movie out?
A24.
I'm gonna break into A24 in Minecraft and get the original tapes.
That's gonna be illegal one day
what's in
when
6
Metaverse
months?
is
What's
real.
6 months from now? March? No, please. August 28th.
3 plus 6 is 9. It's because it's February and tomorrow's March 1st. Might as well go.
So
9.
yeah, September.
September.
By September. And then people will be like, "Where were you on September 6th?" And I'll be like,
I like how you picked
information.
6. It's classified.
You know.
Yeah. Wow, I really can't think of any lesbian cartoons that are animals.
Any? I was gonna
that
say
are animals.
any.
That are animals. That are animals.
Oh, what? I cannot believe there's one person who's been screaming at their podcasts this whole time.
Oh no, we're so sorry.
Tokyo Mew Mew. Tokyo Mew Mew is an iconic girl boss, magical girl.
Cats?
They were so they were all different animals. They all had different animal DNA that they were like blended with or whatever. It was such fake science, and they just had cute little ears and cute little tails. So there was like a cat girl who was the main girl. There was a girl who was a monkey. There was a girl who was a type of bird, I want to say. So they were all just like different types of animals, and they had little different powers that were kind of related, but they also kind of had these like sort of like colorful, fruity themes going. It was very cute. It was very cute, magical girl. And as many magical girl shows do, it had very sapphic vibes because, again, a big part of being able to read queer subtext into something is just having characters interact and have meaningful relationships. Yes. So having a cast of girls means that there's meaningful relationships to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though it also does fall into the trope of a lot of magical girl shows where it's like, and every girl has like all the Powerpuff Girls have a rowdy rough boy that they go with.
There's a bloke and a love.
Yeah.
There's a lass and a lad. There's a lady and a gentleman.
A lady and a tramp.
Lady and a tramp. Are there any lesbians in there?
Anthropomorphic? No.
The Siamese cats are
problematic.
Yeah, because there is a lot of there's lesbian cartoons. There's so much sapphic girl cartoons, like you said, Powerpuff Girls, Totally Spies.
Totally Spies.
But
we're talking about animals.
I know, that's what I mean. But I can't find the outside of the one yet.
But that's not animals.
Yeah, lesbians. We didn't really talk too much about
furries.
Furries,
We're gonna
cat
call
boys.
this the furry episode. People are gonna get all the way to the 50-minute mark and be like, "When are they gonna talk about furries?"
We did and we didn't. I feel like we're talking about a meta because we were trying to talk about furries
and the general like anthropomorphization of animals is not necessarily the same thing.
It's not.
However, I will concede that that Beastars is furry propaganda.
Yeah.
It is conversion material.
Is that the title of the episode? Beastars is furry propaganda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Beastars is furry propaganda, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be said and learned and understood about, these relationships, these anthropomorphizations.
People who are really aggressively like, I could never be a furry, it's because they are actually the most furry in their hearts, and it makes them sick.
It used to really freak me out. When I was younger, it was like, I will say GGG Grimes on Instagram. Their art really opened me up to like experience. Yeah, because they started with tentacle porn actually, and they do a lot of erotic art. Classic. And I actually thought that was more accessible because I just had a different learn about that. Like my entrance to tentacle porn was like not as weird as like the idea of
Furry.
bestiality is where it was going for me.
Well, right, which
exactly.
is
is not what it is.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And once I realized in transitioning from like, oh, this tentacle porn idea to like bestiality versus furries, like, oh.
Yeah, there's actually not very much overlap between people who are
No.
sexually interested in actual real life animals
No.
and people who are interested in cartoons of wolves, because if you'll notice, there is absolutely no animal in nature that looks anything like
No,
the animals
Teenage Simba.
that furries are lusting over. Like
Yes.
they all have like these really expressive human faces, which is
Yes.
why it's possible to project this like sexual interest onto them in this way that is not really about them being animals. Like the thing that they are it's the same reason that people can be attracted to like non-human objects in animation.
Yes.
Well, and also in real life, but
Yeah, well.
especially in animation, because again, you slap a pair of googly eyes on something, and it's like, well, now you're a person, and I love you. Like, you know, it just
Right.
it's short steps. It's
not hard.
It's not
It's why when you look at an outlet, you're like, it's a face. You know what I mean?
exactly, and I love it.
And I love my little outlet.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. It's happy.
I know, it's happy. Give it a plug.
Here you go.
Exactly. So that was the breakdown for me, and might be for a lot of people, like you're saying, you're reacting because you're the strongest furry and / like, are you thinking you're ashamed? Because, and for me, that was related to religious stuff, but also, again, in retrospect, to acknowledge the thing of like, oh yeah, I've always found Teenage Simba hot. That was like, that's an early childhood memory. That's not a like retrospective.
Right.
You know, it's the connection of like, oh yeah, that's not what that you know, it's just different. It's different.
It is, I think, it speaks really more to the ability of like animation, character design, whatever, and like these symbols of which, okay, not to be like so annoying about this, but throughout antiquity, man has imagined anthropomorphized animals to act out these like mythological scenes of great cosmological importance. So furries have a long lineage in the you know, collective cultural memory of humankind, I would argue.
Yeah. Yes.
There is something about being a person that compels you to like in some way experiment with the idea of either animalizing people or humanizing animals.
Yes.
I think in part because we are not so different, you and I, but also because they are very useful symbols, right? It's like coming from the human perspective and what our projections are onto these animals and the positions they occupy in nature. I think they are oftentimes convenient projective tools, right? The idea of like, the hypersexual character in the hyper vulnerable social position is a rabbit, like the hypersexual animal that is also a very vulnerable prey animal. You know, like it's that idea of like pulling out these things about people by highlighting the way that we can understand those things in animals, I think more intuitively, right? It's like you look at a rabbit versus you look at just like a vulnerable human being.
Yes, and you're
you
like
have a different impulse. Yeah, different projection
in relationship to that projection. Yeah, exactly. The usefulness of like storytelling, of communication, of the like you said, long before furry con that we were putting on masks that were of animals. I was thinking of my fox mask as we were talking before you even said that. I was like, yeah, exactly. These rituals that is like, there's a reason we want to evoke or be attracted to or experience and tell this. And it's beautiful actually.
It's actually beautiful.
And it's not that beautiful things
Beastars
can't
is
be
furry propaganda, and that's beautiful.
And that's beautiful. That's okay. Strike out. Beautiful. Yeah.
In my language, don't say furry, you say Beastars. I think that's beautiful.
Please.
Well, if I guess this is sponsored by Beastars.
Sponsored by Beastars ad. Also, asterisks. I haven't seen this, but I thought about Felix the Cat, which is this like adult animation.
True.
There might be quote unquote lesbian representation in that.
Yeah, but what kind?
Very hypersexualized cats. And then I also thought about not a relationship, but is Charlotte from Charlotte's Web a lesbian?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would have to revisit the text to say with confidence.
Something about her
She's definitely
animation,
mommy.
though, is, yeah,
She's very mommy.
She's so mommy. But I'm
Yeah.
like, are you a lesbian, though? You're like divine mommy.
True.
Okay.
Hopefully, we're very wrong about this, and our inbox will just be flooded with counterexamples.
I can't wait. I'm going to make a poll.
A watch
post,
list.
Yeah. Revisit. I'm going to Google everything after we leave.
Your algorithm's going to be fucked for a long
Already
time.
so fucked.
And so that's our episode about Beastars
Beastars.
and furries and anthropomorphization and
how good it is
anthropomorphization and you.
you.
What kind of animal would you be if you were an animal?
A fox. For sure.
Now you ask me.
What kind of animal would you be if you were an animal?
Lion.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Exactly.
We have the box.
Yeah, we should post a picture of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Post it on the gram
it's
of
true.
my handiwork, my art.
Yeah.
Probably the most beautiful thing I've ever made. And then that's it. That's the one.
Yeah, you really just
crazy.
you did it.
It
And
went
then
off
you're like,
for no reason. It was crazy.
Not
The,
no
the
reason,
early
but-
pandemic was a wild.
That was a great
wild
reason.
time.
Yeah.
Had a lot of energy.
I know, I was really doing things.
Yeah.
I want to go back to not working
I
again.
know. What a dream.
No work.
No problems.
No problem.
No work, no shoes.
No problem.
We'll see you folks. No, we won't see you actually.
We'll talk to you. You'll
We'll
hear
talk
us.
at you next time.
Next time.
In a couple weeks.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Emotional Labor. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. We love hearing from our listeners, so shoot us a message at hey, that's hey with 3 Y's, at emotionallabor.co. You can also follow us on Instagram at e.mo.shun.al.play.bore to keep up with our latest episodes and projects. Until next time.